Russia's Kurchatov Institute, whose president is Mikhail Kovalchuk, a close friend of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, who recently boasted of the superiority of Russian science and promised the Kremlin to transport LNG on an underwater gas carrier, intends to purchase foreign anti-drone defense systems for 2 of the Institute's facilities in Moscow, where nuclear test reactors were operating, writes agency. As the publication reports, the aforementioned institute announced an auction on the state procurement website on Thursday for the supply of 2 foreign counter-drone systems worth 17.5 million rubles. The software and hardware systems for monitoring and protection against UAVs will cost the Institute 5.5 and 7.6 million rubles respectively, and another 4.4 million rubles will have to be paid for their installation and launch. The first system will be installed on the territory of the gas plant complex at 23 Zhivopisnaya Street, the second on the territory of the Kurchatov complex of theoretical and experimental physics at 25 Cheremushkinskaya Street. The procurement card also contains a justification for why the customer cannot comply with the Russian government's ban on the purchase of certain foreign equipment installed in December 2024. The reason is the absence of such equipment in the registers of Russian and Eurasian software. The Kurchatov complex of theoretical and experimental physics is located in the Kotlovka district of Moscow on the territory of the Cheremushkinskaya Estate. Until 2022, it was the A.I. Alikhanov Institute of Theoretical and Experimental Physics. It was created in 1945 to develop a heavy water nuclear reactor. The complex's territory contains a nuclear reactor that was shut down in 1986 after the Chernobyl accident but was never decommissioned. Pictured, Anton Tyuliusov, an employee of the institute, told Russian propagandists in 2020. According to the Federal Target Program, this 2.5 megawatt reactor is planned to be decommissioned by 2028. In addition to the reactor, the complex also houses 6 accelerators and the Maket electric nuclear installation designed to maintain the operability of the Ural Lyudmila reactor, Tyuliusov said in 2020. The gas plant was created as an experimental base for the Institute of Nuclear Reactors of the Kurchatov Institute in a green area along Zhivopisnaya Street in the Shchukino district of Moscow. 2 research water-cooled reactors with a capacity of 3 megawatts and 300 kilowatts operated on the territory of the complex from 1954 to 1983, as reported in the journal Atomic Energy. In 1983 to 1986, the complex was reconstructed. A new 300 kilowatt reactor began to be used for experiments. 2 old ones were dismantled, and by 2013, the spent nuclear fuel was taken out for reprocessing. In the same year, a project was developed to decommission the 3rd reactor. This work was planned to be carried out within the framework of the Federal Target Program, Nuclear and Radiation Safety, for 2015 to 2025. Leading scientists from the Russian Academy of Sciences and Rosatom wrote in the book Problems of Nuclear Legacy and Solutions.
A single day of war in Ukraine costs Russia nearly $1 billion, with 41% of Russia's budget allocated to defense. The chief of Ukraine's intelligence agency, Ural Lyudmila, shared the information in an interview with Ukrinform. This is an extremely costly war overall. A single day of war costs them just under $1 billion, which is a huge sum of money, Lyudmila stated. When asked about Russia's economic potential, the head of Ukrainian intelligence responded, "Problems have already arisen, but we must not deceive ourselves." Even according to official figures, 41% of the budget is dedicated to defense. These are abnormal numbers, and nearly all social, medical, and educational programs have been cut to fund this budget. This means the financial and economic strain on the Russian Federation is already becoming apparent. At the same time, Lyudmila added that as long as Russia possesses oil, gas, metals, precious metals, and stones, they will manage to balance. He said that the goals of the Russian Federation remain unchanged, they have not abandoned them and speak about it publicly. And their supreme leader says that the goals of the special military operation must be achieved. They were right. Kiev in 3 days turned into the 3rd anniversary of the full-scale invasion. So, obviously, as they say, something went wrong. How do I assess their condition now? The professional army was destroyed sometime before 2023, and then Russia is fighting with mobilized troops. Although formally they are all contract soldiers, the approach is the same, that is, they take a person, a maximum of 2 weeks, and they are at the front. They fight purely by numbers, he added. He told that the fact of using North Korea, in principle, this is a humiliating fact for the Russian Federation as a country that proclaims itself almost with an encroachment on the world leader, or at least the second most powerful army in the world. It is humiliating, but the realities are such that they had to do this. How the Poles will act is an interesting question. For the North Koreans, everything is fine here, because they are the main beneficiary of the benefits from this process. Their army is gaining combat experience that it has not had since the 1950s. And its first use after training in Russia showed that it was simply terrible, that is, they were definitely not ready for anything in the current realities. They will return, start retraining their army, this is one thing. The second, they have run in their weapons here in the most fierce battles. The most interesting fact that I suggest you dwell on is the use of North Korean ballistic missiles of the KN-23 type. Here are its first applications. They showed a lack of accuracy of hit, that is, there were deviations of 1.5 kilometers and more. Russian specialists worked with their specialists at the factories, reworked, modernized, and now these missiles hit the target. Then, the North Koreans learned what drones are, they had never seen anything like that. Now all this will return, re-equipment, retraining of the army will begin. And it is clear that a new threat will appear for the Pacific region, because it was one thing, when they fired directly towards the Sea of Japan, and everyone, as they say, was nervous. But, let's be honest, everyone understood that the accuracy was not the same, and the quality, who knows how it will work, and now, that's it. This is just one very small aspect, he said.